Greetings from Chicago, traders. It's 8:02 a.m. Chicago time on Thursday, the 29th of October, 2020. Thanks for joining me this morning on episode number 1868. I want to remind you that derivatives trading is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, the overall market is looking mixed. We are actually holding steady in the indices. We're holding steady near the lows that we put in yesterday, in the balance that we put in yesterday, pretty much across the board. The NASDAQ is higher, up. NASDAQ's leading the board today, up 72 points or 0.65%. The dollar stronger, up 31.5 cents, trading at 93.72.5. The S&P is up 9 points, and the DAX is up 22.5 points, which isn't much for that product. That's less than one full rotation. The bonds are up 9 ticks, and crude oil's off again. Crude oil's come off quite a bit, down at 35.36 in the December contract, $2.03 off, or 5.43%. The expectation in crude is an oversupply is on its way, and so the market is responding. Gold is also off, trading $1,860.70. Yeah, my cat has something to say about this, about what's going on, I guess. Just loves to sit here and scream her head off when I'm on. Now, she didn't say a thing while I'm prepping for trading this morning, but now she's got a lot to say. I guess she's just disagreeing with what I'm saying. Gold's come off quite a bit, 1860, trading at 1860 and 20 cents. Record U.S. third quarter growth expected, healing from COVID-19. Still a long way. This morning we had GDP. The growth rate Q on Q came in at 33.1% versus 30%. GDP price index Q on Q, 3.7%. 3.7% versus 2.8% consensus. Initial claims came in line today, 751,000 versus 750,000. Continuing claims, which is a gigantic number still. This is people who are continuing to seek unemployment benefits. 7.756 million versus 7.9 million. Still a record, and so on. Quite a few numbers came out overnight. I'm not going to go through those. We did have the ECB announcement about 20 minutes ago, and the press conference. Well, this is interesting. Yeah, the press conference, it seems like it's late, 8:30 Central. Normally it's 7:30 Central. ECB's press conference, I guess, is in 25 minutes. Not sure if this calendar's got it correct. Normally the press conference is at 7:30 Central along with the numbers, but that's what we're looking for today. Really not much to ahead. Again, pending home sales at 10 a.m. Eastern, and that wraps up the day in terms of expected expected releases. Wall Street futures were higher ahead of the U.S. third quarter GDP data. Results from top technology companies later in the day. Apple, Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook, and Twitter are scheduled to report quarterly earnings after the closing bell. European equities were up, buoyed by strong corporate earnings, though the sentiment remains fragile. Asian shares ended in the red, weighed by concerns about fresh coronavirus lockdowns. The dollar index was slightly up, while gold prices were little changed as caution crept in ahead of the U.S. elections. Oil prices fell over 3% due to demand concerns. That's from Refinitiv or Thomson Reuters. Let's take a look at what was expected yesterday versus what we got. But one thing I want to make sure everybody knows is there's an event that was supposed to be just me on a webcast, maybe with a couple people. Webcast meaning webcams, desktop share, charting share. For next Tuesday, U.S. Election Day. This event has blown up. We're going to have a bunch of guests that are confirmed. PAX Trader 777, Trade with Profile, Dr. Andrew Menaker, Anna Marie Trades, and others, Tendex Capital, and other people I'm waiting to confirm. Just gonna basically, I'm going to be here just like I was in 2016 during that period when the market went limit down 3 times and finished unchanged by the end of the election day. Um, and we'll be here from about 8 p.m. Eastern till about midnight, maybe a little bit later, depending on the results. We'll just I'm going to keep commentary on the markets. I'm going to share my charts and basically look at what I'm going to be talking about, what I'm looking at in terms of trading. The last election was huge trading wise, big opportunity day. Again, it's not suitable for everybody, but this time I'd like to keep some company and have people come on and do it live from the office. We'll be at the office anyway, so might as well get on live. So next Tuesday at about 8 p.m. till about midnight Eastern to cover the U.S. election. And I think it'll be interesting. I'd love to hear these other people's views on what was going on, and I'd like to have you on. So the information for that, the link for that will come in through Twitter. If you're on any list that belongs to me, Convergent, Edge Clear, Futures Trader 71, or whatever, you're going to get the link. And so that's where we stand. One thing to note, margins have gone up on for several clearing firms. They've gone up to 100%. For the session, some it's 150%, so it may be tougher to trade. Also, it's just wiser to use the micros or use the micro products wherever possible, micro FX, micro gold, micro indices, to trade these. Anyway, moving on to the review segment, just don't forget, next Tuesday, I expect the GoToWebinar software, which the one I have has a 1,000-seat limit. I expect it to actually hit the limit, and if it hits the limit, someone has to drop off before you can get in. So just to get on early if you're going to be there. Here's the review segment. Yesterday, we were opening in a relatively large gap down, and I was looking for it to continue lower given the fact that we were quite weak coming in. So I expected it to continue lower and then find a base against the century figure somewhere around there, and then start to work itself back up. Was really looking for it to come back towards the 33.50 area or so, 45 really, and hold steady. That did not happen yet. And the secondary is a push higher, potentially into 32, as far as 32. Did not really expect it to push into the overnight point of control. So 32 is right here, and then was looking for it to turn over and then hold steady in this gap zone. Both of those were completely wrong yesterday. Here's what actually happened. We open it in an open auction out of range. This is a really compressed chart. I don't want to change the periodicity because it's then going to take a while. But we open in an open auction out of range. We get to where 28.25. Remember, was looking for 32 on scenario 2. So once it turns over below 32, we're looking for a sweep down or a drop, and the overnight low to be taken out, and that's what we got. But this thing did not have any legs. Could not find any buyers yesterday, so it just continued to go down and push lower and lower and lower. We broke through the 3,300. We got to the next key area down, but most of all, buyers were just nowhere to be found, and we just continued to squeeze lower. We once again ended up with quite a balanced profile for a trend day. There was a wide IB. Selling came in quite early and created this very wide IB. or relatively wide IB, and but overall we held in balance. So the value area is actually valid based on yesterday's action. Here's the thing that's catchy on this. Um, let's reset this. The thing that's catchy on this is that while this thing had sold off quite a bit from the open, so remember, it was an open auction out of range, and then we broke down. So we left the open way up there. Let's see. The open was at 21, okay, 33.21. Look at the delta. The delta really sold off, but it was very quick to come back to zero. Came back to zero right here. So this would be the equivalent of what is basically 30 points higher in the same price relative to delta. Came back up, and as we pushed into the mid, which was the only clear trade that I saw yesterday, as it pushed into the mid, which coincided with 3,300 right here, as it pushed into the mid and sold off, look at the delta, quite positive, right? And then it comes back to the bottom of the range, takes out the low, delta hovering around flat. So we've moved quite a bit from the 21 open, yet the delta was flat. What does this say? This is saying one or two things, potentially. One, it's saying that the move down is happening on thin air, so they're not hitting the bid, which is causing large negative delta. So there isn't a lot of negative delta. Or there, as the price was brought down, whether through icebergs or whatever, there was some decent crossing the market on the offer, and there was lifting on the offer. There was buying, aggressor buying on the way down. Okay, so those are the two scenarios. Why would it do that? It could do it for many reasons, and I don't want to speculate. Could be that this product was being used for hedges against shorts elsewhere, and so they were buying them up here, selling them somewhere else, or whatever. But the fact is, we know that price and delta didn't move in the same direction, and overall, this is telling us that there's an underlying strength or an underlying push or hold support as the market explored prices lower. As soon as it stabilized yesterday, it quickly had big rotations, relatively large rotations, as soon as it stabilized. So there's some buying interest down here. It seems like it's a buy the dip environment. It doesn't mean we need to look bullish today. It does not mean that the auction is accepting prices lower, and that's what we have to go with for now. But just be aware that for the type of action that we got, the delta for most of the day was quite flat, and that's something to just kind of keep in your back pocket. Coming into the night session, 351,000 contracts traded. That's relatively heavy by about 120,000. Pretty active overnight session. Pretty wide range, about 60 points or so. 55 points really. And a lot of discovery. Look at this discovery. As soon as we reopen, what do? That kind of delta idea plays out. We push all the way back up through to the prior overnight low. The prior overnight low was, I believe, at 33.10, if I recall correctly, and we push right back to 33.10.75 here. So this kind of pushback was not anticipated, and then we see sellers come in. Right, this push up happened in the Asian session. We see sellers step right in the European session and take it right back down. We've left the point of control up higher. The point of control up higher, this 9250 region right here. A high volume node on the composite. This is a bit of a magnet in the area, just like the big 3340 up here, which I expected more of a reaction to. I did expect yesterday that we are likely to come back to it. If you remember, scenario one was looking for us to come back into 3340. And so what we've done overnight is we've had a pretty decent discovery, and we've taken out the low of the prior session. It's holding stock zones pretty well. It held this stock zone on the nose. This was not an adjusted stock zone, and it held these stock zones down here on the nose. Again, another high volume node beneath us at 3253, marked by the stock zone, which held up. So quite orderly auction in the overnight session, and we are we are maintaining a higher point of control in the overnight session, but the volume is not high enough. This could shift very quickly. We could fill in this area very quickly. We're still one time framing up on the daily. Where is my composite chart? So let's make sure we look at the big picture and see what's going on. Here we break down pretty strong. We left quite a gap yesterday, this unauctioned area. And as I said yesterday, the 32.35, 32.34.50 becomes the big magnet below. In the immediate forecast, this high volume node is quite large, okay, and that becomes the big attraction on further selling. So if today it ends up pushing lower and stretching and becoming another trend day down, which I expect, we closed below 2 volatility sigma close on close yesterday. This is an impulsive day yesterday, so we do expect some sort of a test of that 3260 area. Then 32.34.50 becomes the key area to test. If this area holds, we are likely to come right back and test the gap zone again and work ourselves back into the 33.40 area for balance. Right, 33.40 and 33.60, big areas to pay attention to. That's the big picture. Look at this delta. Again, market is just falling. The COVID numbers look awful. Record day yesterday across the board. Big numbers. Worse than we had in March and April. And yet the delta is just not participating. Price is participating. Delta is not participating. Very important clue here. And on the short side, you want to be somewhat reserved at these levels here unless we break below this low and start running. So far, it's a pretty well managed sell-off. Okay, so I'm going to bring you back to the election announcement again on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be live on a webcast with a bunch of guests, and we'll be talking markets and the elections. We'll be considering the results as they come out, and trading live, hopefully, if opportunity arises. Let's take a look at what's expected for today. For today, tricky day. For today, I'm looking for a response. Currently, the overnight inventory is tilted just slightly to the buy side or long. It's about 57%, I think, long compared to the close, not settlement. I'm expecting an open auction in range. I'm looking for a response back to yesterday's point of control, consolidate in this area, hold steady, and I'm looking for it to actually push back to this 92, the overnight point of control, and the composite high volume node before it rests. Okay, so today I'm expecting to be a resting day. The secondary scenario is the continuation scenario where we have an impulse down, pull back, continue. So the secondary scenario would be an open auction that pushes higher, fails to get through, fails to accomplish much, potentially 83, 84, and then an impulse down versus up, an impulse down to the low, and a squeeze down into the 50s, the 3250s, and potentially, again, if it continues, 34.5 area would be the next big area down, and then probably pop up. I'm not sure if it'll get to 34.50, but it's attainable. It's only 30 points or so to get down there. And I believe that that's attainable for the current volatility. But those are the two main scenarios. The question, I'm going to stand by for the first 15, 20 minutes. And the question is, how much strength does it show on the way up? If we're seeing that it's lifting, but there are icebergs along the way, or if it's lifting and it's not making much headway versus it's lifting and it's pushing very quickly, that informs which side is likely to play out. But if we do push higher, again, we are looking at the 89, first the 84. So 84 is the prior day's point of control or so, 84, 85, right? 84. And then be above there, 89, a big one right here at 92. 92, so there's a heavy cluster right here. And then above there, it's 97, 300, 9700, and then we are free to get back to 10 above there. Okay, the big target up top is the 40. The 40, that's the MC VPOC. That's the most traded price in this area. You can see how prominent it is. On the downside, yesterday's low is an obvious target down at 60. And then there are a bunch of levels down here, but the key one is 34.50. Anyway, I'll leave you with that. Good luck today. Mind your risk. And don't forget, on Tuesday, there will be election coverage. We'll be here all night. It'll be a live show. It'll be cool, chill. People will come on and on. Guests will come on and off. And we'll talk markets. They'll give us their point of view of the markets, and I'll chat about the markets all evening. Good luck, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Take care.